Go for it.
Andy,
Yes.
morning. Good afternoon. Finally, we get to actually sit down and have a public chat.
Yes, very much so. So everyone tuning in, it's Fluke and Box and Media and Gaming getting together just to have a bit of a chat. Yeah.
So we were just talking while we set everything up. I bought some Monarch first edition boxes from Andy. He did a public post. At the time, was a great deal, by the way. A little bit of an overpriced now, but it was definitely a very good deal at the time. Not overpriced or anything. That's kudos to you. I was surprised the store was doing a reasonable price, to be honest.
Yeah, well, as a store, yeah, there was a lot of knockbacks in regards to various stores putting prices up on various things. And I even went and challenged some people that were talking out against some stores. And I actually got accused of pretty much doing what the other stores did until I showed them my pricing, and then they were like, "Oh, sorry, dude."
Your pricing was what I would have expected from actually, you were less than I was paying individually to people.
Yeah.
So I was I was not knowing who you were. Was like, oh, is this like some backyard garage type shop, inverted commas? But everything worked out fine. Actually, I pulled a library out of one of your boxes that had the label MID on them. And I pulled a library out of one of your boxes.
Oh, how good is that? How good is that? Yeah.
But yeah, since I bought from some players that are local to your scene, high-end players, which we won't name, top XP guys, but they had some gold foil promos that we couldn't work out pricing on. And
yeah, the gold foils. Well, if you're mentioning gold foils, people will kind of know who we're talking about. We've had 2 people in our group that have had gold foils that have sold them off in the past. But yeah, incredibly hard to work out because there's just so little of them in the world. And, you know, at the time that they're given out, like, where in the world are they available? And now that we're an international scene with Flesh and Blood, and we're not just New Zealand and Australia and a little bit of Asia, yeah, the whole world, like, the price is who's prepared to pay for it type thing, and
correct.
the collector out there.
When did you start? Was it 2019 Alpha or?
We started when it was Alpha. I remember we would get the boxes and we were like opening Alpha like there was no tomorrow. We were just
It's $150 a box or whatever.
Yeah, there was less than that when we were doing it. Like Alpha, I was selling for 110, I think. It was a crazy price. And like our nights would be spent like get another box, and all the boxes would be gone off our shelves.
Yeah.
And then I'd order them direct from LSS before we had distributors. And every week it was, we're getting in 1 or 2 cases, and they would be gone within the session. So it was pretty funny how we would just open stuff up, get the legendary, or fight for the last few packs to get a legendary if no one had opened them out of a box. Yeah, no, that were good days, but we would always notice on the box that it had on their Alpha edition, and we always wondered, I wonder what they're going to do with that. So I pretty much kept some cases up on a bookshelf, and I never allowed anyone to touch them type thing. And then, yeah, it happened. First edition Alpha stopped. And then there was this crazy rush for the boxes and that. And honestly, I left that box sitting on the bookshelf, or one of those boxes on a bookshelf, months into all that was going crazy. And I think they hit like $4,000 or $5,000 a box. So I'm looking at a case there, sealed case with 4 boxes in it, like anywhere between $18,000 to $20,000 at the time, sitting on a bookshelf. For when people come into like a house, they just pass it, and I'm like, you know, this has got ridiculous now, so I've got to, you know, get that in storage somewhere.
You still got it?
Yeah, I don't sell much of my Flesh and Blood. It's it's a love for me. It goes beyond the price.
Yeah. That's cool.
You know, one day in the future I might. But for now, I like the fact that I've got them and they're part of my history. And I used to sell stuff and then regret it and want to buy it again. And I learned from that if I don't need to sell something, I won't. I'll keep it. if it's something that I enjoy.
That's true investing,
Yeah,
especially if you have a love for it. Is you don't spend money that you need back because you're a shop. You need cash flow and everything. But if you have one case that's yours and you
yeah,
never sell it, I wouldn't say never. One day you should maybe. You might find another love or something for family or
well, that's
living
right.
expense or whatever. But if you don't need to, investing is holding it for years and years, decades and decades. That's what you do with an investment. A
Yeah,
lot of these people trading, scalping, trying to make a quick buck don't get that.
yeah. um but
You
yeah,
record from the store, correct?
say that again, sorry.
You always record from your store, from your shop.
Yeah, I've got a home setup actually, which I've got like a
Okay.
nice background and everything. But yeah, I normally record here. I spent a lot of money setting up a room in the house, but I don't use it. COVID
You're at
forced
work
me
too
to do
much.
that. Yeah, COVID forced me to do that. Then my daughter was using the room and I never got in there, and now we're back out of COVID and I don't want to be going back. So
How
yeah,
many kids have you got?
just one. Yeah.
Just one. I've got one. I've got a son. He's 13.
Oh, daughter's 12. There you go.
There you go.
Similar lifestyle.
Yeah, I had mine. I was 20 when I had him.
Oh wow.
So
Young.
we're close enough in age. We still do a lot of the same things.
Yeah. My daughter got into various card games, not into Flesh and Blood, because by the time she did Dragon Ball and that, she was over it. Too many the adults and
Yes.
yeah. Uh,
That'll come in time. I think Flesh and Blood is it's not like an adult themed game, but it's the crowd that plays. Like my YouTube viewers are all over 30 by the
oh
looks of it.
well, with how in depth it's getting now,
Yeah,
like it, I honestly think it's very hard for children to pick up. It would be.
there's a
And
complexity level.
well, there is, and my concern was Welcome to Wraith not being produced anymore. That's, you know, our entry level now is so complex. Like you're entering in at Prism and that, like that's a real concern for me. But you know what, James is always impressed with everything that he's done. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what they're thinking, but he's never put a foot wrong in my book for
Yeah.
anything that he's done. But that is my
Well,
concern.
here's a question for you: when you're teaching people how to play, are
Yep.
you drafting Welcome to Wraith, or are you just doing Blitz?
I've got
Assuming you're not doing CC, right?
so in the dark days where we didn't even have starter decks and that, I bought out collections and I built a whole bunch of starter decks for people, just blitz decks, and they're the decks that I use. I kept a whole set for myself and sold the rest, but I use them to teach people how to play. So they learn with Katsu and Rhinar. Not so much Dorinthia, because I think as a first
She's
thing,
tricky.
yeah, getting over your thinking about that her sword can't attack twice unless you have go again after reading the hero card.
Even
Just
though it says you can.
yeah. So
That's
right.
all I play, by the way. I play Dorinthia.
Ah, there you go. But yeah, we start off with Reiner and Katsu, and then we go into whatever they want to play. And I've got up until Monarch for those starter decks, but mostly I keep people to Welcome to Wraith and then step into Arcane Rising as well.
Yeah, I agree and disagree. So I agree with the fact that Monarch Heroes was where I started trying to play. Starter decks with my girlfriend during COVID. Way too hard to figure out. Blood Debt, Charging the Soul, like that all took a while.
Yeah.
I wish one thing LSS or another content creator could have done is put how to play Monarch.
Yeah.
How to play Tails. But like this is how you fuse. Like just in a video format, so like in a 3-minute format. None of these problem with some of the learn to play videos is they're like an hour long. And if you don't come from the card world, you can't even absorb the first 5 minutes. So
Yeah.
but people are only really learning Blitz. And I feel like, so for me, I have two 2018 Ira decks in different color sleeves in my box.
Yep.
If I meet a new player, I give him a mirror deck and we play that.
Yeah,
And I
nice.
get beaten because that's a deck, even if you're good, you can get beaten at because it's very straightforward.
Yeah.
People just need to do a couple of combos. And I don't feel like that's going anywhere. The new hero for Everfest looks like she's just a guardian, no talent. No, I think there's still way too many cards in the world already for this game. Like, if you need to build a ninja deck, aside from like foil majestics, you should easily be able to find everything. And look, you can play with one specialization card, not two in a blitz deck. It won't kill you.
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone win because they had a perfect deck yet.
Yeah.
It's mostly like, as you know, most games are over before the deck's over.
Yeah. Bear with me one moment. I've got a customer here. I'm just gonna quickly see to them and then get back to this one. Okay, I'm back. Just had to do a deal on some glass boards. Yeah, sorry, just had to approve a deal.
You're fine, man.
All right.
Yeah, so again, Blitz, the new hero is a guardian.
Yeah.
I don't think it's super hard. I don't think we've seen. Here's what I'm trying to say: is you're not the first. I'm out of breath from walking to the door. you're a very fit man. We'll talk about that in a second. Is you're CrossFit or something? What do you do to keep
Nah,
shape?
definitely not CrossFit.
Athlete.
Pure strength training.
Yeah, I need to get into something like that. But anyway, I think a lot of the local store owners that have your opinion.
Oh, do they for the entry level?
Yeah, like most of the ones that started when you started. So everyone that started in Wraith and fell in love with Welcome to Wraith have that opinion that removing it from circulation is a bad idea. My counter to that is we haven't seen a problem yet.
Oh, no.
It may be a problem, but there isn't a problem yet.
Yeah, but you don't see it because, well, it depends what the stores are doing and whether they've got their like champions championing the game or whatever they're doing. It's not a problem for me because I've got those blitz decks all set out. But I tell you what, if customer came in and I had those Monarch sets or heaven forbid Tales of Aria, if Monarch wasn't there, starter decks. Yeah. I think I would have a bit of a longer time issue, and time's the best asset I've got. Yeah, if I give time to something, that's pretty important because I don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
So sitting down and the time extension that it would take just to go over the rules and hang on, let's just ignore that part right for now. Yeah. It was just so easy before. Like Ninja, you just want these cards to go again, go again, go again. Rhino will get cards out of your hand and do a big hit. But now it's more about if you fuse or, well, look, we're playing Wizard now and Wizard can go in your turn and my turn. And it's just like, oh, no, even Arcane Rising started to take that next step, but it was still controllable with Viserai and doing that kind of stuff.
I agree. I think I'm same as what you said. I'm waiting to see what they come up with. I agree. I don't think I'd grab a Lexi deck to show someone how to play. I barely understand how Lexi works.
Yeah. Well,
I know how to beat Lexi, but I don't know how to play Lexi, if that makes sense.
And the experience is so important as well. If you give someone a Lexi deck and they don't...
first experience.
Yeah, and they don't get that concept of, like, arrows and the weapon can't attack. See, the other heroes can all attack with their weapons, but that can't, or the wizard doesn't really have a weapon per se unless they're really paying for 3 on that token. It's the entry level is what worries me. That's all.
Yeah. I would, but for a store, I would keep that stuff around pre-built decks.
Yeah.
So people can go jump into a Katsu game, Because I still think it's very important if you're gonna play this game. Like one point I would make that I've heard being made: if you're gonna play Flesh and Blood, you have to embrace the talent system, even just to know how to beat them.
Hmm.
You can't. You know, the game is not simple, which is true. Playing Ninja is simple, but then we've only seen the first 3 ninjas or whatever. There's more to come. I'm
Yeah.
sure we'll see an elemental ninja that is going to be fusing, or
Yeah,
a fire
definitely.
ninja that charges. But I think they're correct. The first experience, and I don't know how well. Like from my experience, when I go into a store and I ask for a free Ira deck, if they have them, most stores say no, they don't. I
Yeah.
don't know if that store's not getting them, or
Look,
LSS not printing enough.
so, all right. So the starter decks. All right. Before I said hasn't put a foot wrong, he's done one issue which I talked to him when I went down to Canberra, and I said, sorry, New Zealand, for his event. And it's the only thing I've really talked to James about seriously, was that the starter decks weren't worth anything. Could not sell them. Could not barely give them away because they had nothing in them that they were special. They made a change with that with Monarch by putting in the mentors, and they put in a nice foil leader card of it, and it was nice. But you know what? Those cards are still not sought after unless you're like a collector and you just want those cards, yeah? So this is a reason why shop owners probably don't have the starter decks installed like you're finding, because people are just buying boosters or buying boxes. No one is buying starter decks. I've got starter decks coming out of the wazoo. And on a discussion that we had off camera, is because I don't say no to Flesh and Blood product. I just get whatever comes in. Yeah. So if they say, look, we've got 300 starter decks here, all right, send them over. Now I'm stuck with all of them, yeah, but yeah, who knows.
You've been
with
in this world a lot longer than me. Magic original starter decks used to have randomness. Right?
That's right. Yeah, I got my first Black Lotus out of a first box that I opened. I didn't even know what the hell it was. I knew it was a cool card, played with it, and sold it later on.
I think that would be cool if, because I love unboxing stuff. I wish, because I've got starter decks. Like as a long-term investment, I've kept some of the. I think is it the Tails ones that have the spell break stuff that's now worth quite a bit.
Is that worth quite a bit? Is it?
Well, people in like high-end play ones, the spell free.
Yeah.
Because it's null rune with no cost. So if you're playing super aggressive in blitz, it's very good to have a whole set of those.
That's a one use though, yeah.
Yeah, but you sort of, if you're playing aggressive, you're playing Rhinar or something, you don't want to pitch to defend null rune. You rather block out one null rune turn and kill them on the next turn.
Yeah,
that's the logic.
But that's one deck, yeah. That's one that's sold.
That's what I'm saying. Randomness. Listen, it'd be cool if there was a chance for a cold foil, or a chance for like a foil hero or something. That's a cool idea to put in, because they're not worth nothing. Like you still pay $15 or whatever.
You know what? If you could put in, imagine you could only get something like specializations out of the starter decks. People would buy starter decks because of that. They would want to get their set of that. Now, if they put in 2 specializations in each starter deck, people would buy 2 starter decks. People might not like that or agree with it, but it's what they do in Dragon Ball, and Dragon Ball starters do sell purely for that reason. If you're going to be serious about a starter deck concept and you want them to sell and you want the stores to support that, you need to do something like that. That's probably...
I'd imagine they'll tell you that takes away from the starter decks being for new players, but then the counter is...
Why would it?
Very good for new players.
But why would it? Because new players get to see the specializations of that hero that they're playing the deck. True. Why would it take away?
Look, I'm very interested to see what they do. I don't think there's a starter deck coming for Everfest that would have made sense.
No, because...
But they could, but that's the thing.
Though. It's a supplementary set.
They could have done a Crucible one.
Well, no... Well, not really. Look, who's to...
They would have only had crew cards in it, though. It would have had to have a mixture. But it'd be cool if you could buy a Kasai starter deck. I'd love that. I think they should.
Wouldn't it be cool if the younger leaders actually became the adult leaders and the adult leaders became the legendary leaders, yeah? and they actually moved and progressed the story from that. Obviously, not too soon, but
We'll see.
hmm,
I think so. I want to nerd out with you about some PVE stuff because I know you play a lot of different games.
hmm,
Um, but I think because it's cardboard and they're printing a new set every 3 to 4 months or whatever the ratio is, even less than that. They they have better ideas than we do. I just can't wait to see what they execute. That's what I'm excited for.
yeah,
I
like
think WTR and Crucible of War are like my two favorite sets. I never drafted WTR. I'm gonna go to 5 of the farewell events to get my fill,
yeah.
um, and to get a lot of Dorinthia cold foils.
Oh well. I've got-
Very excited to see what happens. Like, not now. Not I don't have this need for something immediate. I'm very curious to see what the next few years look like.
Hmm.
Card depth, new heroes being retired. I think this yeah,
As a matter of fact, because we're talking about starter decks, there's one that I've never put away, and this is one that I have here. So
yes,
look at that full box of starter decks.
yeah. I would buy that from you, by the way.
It's
They're very hard to find.
they are very hard to find. I actually got this from, I think it was the last one in Sydney. I rang them up. I said, "Yeah, I'm another store, but I want that box."
Yeah, I've seen some of the sealed decks at some good games here, but not the full cube like that, not the brick.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's a good game. I think that's what people sometimes in the noise you lose playing the game is an experience. Like I've played like 2 games of Magic and hated it. I played Hearthstone. I couldn't get into it. Pokemon doesn't interest me at all to play, but then Flesh and Blood started collecting it, played a few games, and I'm like, wait, I can play Dorinthia? It's a bit like playing poker. Like I
yeah.
can bluff. It's pretend.
So the games that you mentioned, every single one of those games, and this is where I don't want Flesh and Blood to go either, but every single one of those games, you notice that everyone plays their own game. Pokemon, there's no interaction. Magic, you're pretty much, unless you're playing blue or anything else, you're not affecting the opponent. You're just playing your game. You're sending over your creatures to attack. Flesh and Blood has the interaction back and forward, and that's what makes it different. Until you start hitting your Viserai decks, like the one-turn kill decks.
Well, you don't you just wait for your combo.
Well, yeah, it's such a boring concept. And I really don't want to see Flesh and Blood delve into that aspect of each player is playing their own individual game. I really loved Welcome to Wraith because you were constantly either sticking to a strategy or changing the strategy based on what the opponent was doing. There was no, I'm just playing my game. No, you're playing a game with your opponent and you're trying to get the upper hand.
And the swings of tempo, where
That's right.
You think you're doing well, and then they pull Channel Lake Ice or something.
Yeah.
Like, okay. But this is going to change what happens for the next 3 turns. No matter what my plan or my hand looked like, something will affect it.
Yeah, and without tempo, the game isn't what it is. And that's where I fear on those decks that just play their own game. And like you'll just sit there for 10 minutes and you'll put your cards face down. You know you're not blocking, you know you're not doing anything, and you're just waiting for their turn to end. It can be 10-minute wait. And it's such a boring game. Then you get to play your game. You might get blocked out or you just do all your attacks. They don't care. And then they just have their turn. That's Pokemon. I don't play Pokemon because of that. And I really don't enjoy games which play like that. Honestly, if I come across that one-turn kill Viserai, like it's a challenge to try and get the damage in before they do that. So there's a little bit of an aspect of fun there. But if the other aspects that I have trouble with is Guardian. Now, there's some excellent Guardian cards out there, and they'll just spend the whole game blocking. But if you can actually get something to work, especially as Light Ninja, and try and extend that chain and get some damage through, there is a bit of fun there. But I don't want it to go to that next step where you just don't do anything. Like you find out who your opponent is, and you might as well just pack up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Prism.
So if you look at, someone's probably made a chart out there, the hero support for the game. So from WTR to now, you play Katsu
Yeah.
still.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I play Dorinthia. We've had very little support. I don't complain about it because I'm very aware that Runeblades had 3 sets and I've had 2. So I'm just waiting for Everfest. So I just count the numbers like that. I go, Monarch had 1 card for me, Tails had 0, but Everfest is probably going to have 5 or 10.
Yeah, but you know, the great thing about it is that you don't need to play the best.
No, and that's where I'm coming from, is from a game fun perspective. You can see like the new card that, or the new hero and the new card, they have hero interactions. Like the new hero, if you draw too many cards, she benefits. I love that. That means you really have to think about your Kano deck and if you're going to play a tome.
Yeah.
And the tome's going to really punish you next turn because the Guardian's probably going to do 16 damage if they have 3 floating resources before the turn starts.
Yeah. Look,
I'm looking forward to the balancing act, because I feel like there's some missed balancing, but also some heroes just haven't had much love in the last 2 sets.
Yeah, but if you can, my view is I keep taking Ninja, and people might like wonder why, and I don't win many games anymore. I'd probably take out 1 game in any armory. And even then I'm lucky to do that. But the decisions I make and how close the game is makes me a better player overall. I know I can pick up another hero, and what I learned from playing a lower deck where I really have to think about stuff and not sit back all confident makes me such a better player, not only in this game, but in so many others. I sat down and played Magic not too long ago, and the feedback from the players that I was playing against was that, oh, wow, you really know what you're doing. You sure you don't play often? I was like, nah, man, I just picked up the deck. But the stuff I learned in this game, the stuff I learned in this game, the stuff I learned in like the Vampire game, like playing all these games and playing a game like Flesh and Blood where I only got 4 cards to make a decision on, they all helped me become a better player by playing the lesser heroes. There was one night I took Dorinthia in our armory event against Luke, our top Dorinthia player. One of the only armories I've ever won, and I beat Luke with his own deck, which went to show that what I learned through playing Katsu and every other deck that wasn't that good really came forward when I took a top leader at that time that was able to do that. I know what it's like when I play Blitz and I take Reiner. I'm very confident when I'm playing Blitz with Reiner, regardless of the hero that I'm up against, and I have a good time with that. But I know that I'm quite comfortable. I'm not really having to like push myself beyond that limit. And if you're the best player in the room, then you're in the wrong room type thing. That's the kind of mentality I have. I always want to be learning. And I'm by far not a very good player at all, but I have a lot of good players that I play against, and I take a crap leader and I take it against them, and I learn so much from your Tobys, your Lukes, your Lees, just all of those players. They're at their top end.
Took out a whole Winterbox Christmas event locally.
Oh, wow.
We had like the 3 judges in the room, a level 2 judge. I think he's the only level 2 judge in the country.
All right.
And a few of the top ranked players. And that's the beauty of Flesh and Blood. Blitz is still, there's luck. If they draw 2 bad hands in a row and you know what you're doing, you're probably going to win.
Yep.
And for the first time, I beat a Briar and a Kano. Because a Kano was trying to do his thing and pulled 1 too many reds and couldn't finish the game out. And here's the key, I blocked at the right time.
Yeah, nice.
It's so hard to know what to block in Flesh and Blood, knowing, is that their big turn, or is that should I take this turn damage, or should I save all my equipment? It's very tricky, but I won 2 games with Rao, and if you know the card, it's terrible.
Well, you've
it's amazing, but it's terrible.
Yeah, so I just lost the train of thought there, but damn, what was that? you mentioned about drawing the 2 reds. Yeah,
Yeah.
with the blocking, you will know when you've blocked incorrectly though when you do it though, and you're like, this is the part where I've probably lost the game right now.
But that takes more time to learn. Like that matters more than having your legendaries or having it matters way more. I think if you get a professional, like if you get Luke to play someone who's new and you give them no armor, they'll win the game because they'll know when to block with their 4 cards and pick up tempo the next turn. Then most players will know how to play in general.
I don't know about beating Luke on a first time.
No, I'm saying that's what I'm saying. He would win with no armor.
Oh, true, yes.
New people with a full legendary kit.
Yeah.
Because it has more to do with timing and knowing, or reading the person's hand, like especially against Dorinthia. When I get beaten, I get really beaten because I swing with a naked sword swing and then they block it for a 9 because they knew.
So that's the beauty with this game as well, with us putting cards down the bottom of our decks, and that it introduces another level. So all these players that are getting top places know what is coming up in their deck based on what they've pitched, and they pitch in certain orders. They change the cards in the pitch around to make sure they put under their deck, so they know that when they hit their card, they know what cards are coming up after it. The next level beyond that, which is amazing as it is that they also know what's happening in their deck and what's happening in yours. I've had games against Luke where Luke's pinpointed where all my cards are going to be in my deck, and he knows what card I'm drawing next. He was able to keep that memory about what's in the deck, in his deck and my deck, and he's on just another level. And that's what you're on. When you face those people, you realize what level they're on, and they make you so much better.
Yeah, top player told me what he does is if he sees you pitch a blue, I don't know, he gave me an example that he's pitching a defense reaction. So it comes up at the same turn as when your blue comes up. Like when your...
There you go.
Or when your red attack comes up. Like if he sees you pitch something very strong, because it's too early, like, in the round to play it. Like, some people want to wait till all the armor's gone before they use their big attack.
That's
if
right.
He sees you do that, he pitches a defense reaction knowing it'll come back up when it's due.
Yeah. It's just another level. It's just another level.
If I lose to that guy, there's a reason. And it's not my deck, and it's not my hero. Primarily, it's skill first. It's still skill.
Yeah, and it's his level of skill, which is just surpassing yours. That's all it is, really. It's pretty fantastic seeing this. Like,
what has that? It's what a good game's supposed to look like. It's very easy to learn, very difficult to master. Makes a good game. Chess is like that. You can teach anyone chess in 5 minutes. A new player will not beat a grandmaster ever in chess.
Yeah,
like it takes years to get expertise in it. It takes thousands of hours, but you can teach 2 people to play chess and they will have a great time from day one, from the first 10 minutes, because the rules are simple. And Flesh and Blood, as the majority, is simple. Some of the talent stuff is more complex than chess, but I don't think they're too complicated that it'll ruin the game. I think it's still a bit selective with how, like, ages. I think it's still a bit selective with how old you need to be to pick up the game. I think 16 is definitely the minimum someone's going to wrap their head around all the mechanics of the game.
Yeah, true.
I'm sure there's younger kids that could. I'm saying it's not easy.
Yeah. No, I get it.
I want to talk to you about this auction, the market thing. Just more your opinion, because you've been in the game. You've seen it from $110 alpha boxes to now. There's still 5,500 Australian.
I'll bring the card up that you're going to talk about. So explain the auction first off and what you're hoping to achieve.
It should be pretty straightforward. And reaching out to content creators or people in the community to also get... I like being questioned. Maybe I've missed something. The heart's going up, no reserve, $100 Australian bid increments during the Australian Nationals. So I think the 21st is the pre-event, the Battle Hardened Blitz event.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll be playing in that. That'll be fun. And then it's the 2 days of Nationals. So there'll be a live booth for Deckbox Flesh and Blood auctions. They'll be there. So we're going to have the heart on display. People are going to bid in person. But then the Facebook group will be open internationally for bids. I genuinely Wait, someone commented on Reddit that I'm just a whale selling out of the game, which is hilarious because the heart is my most expensive single card, but it's not even worth 10% of what I have in
Right.
total. Especially in sealed product, I have more than most shops. But I'm curious. Everyone talks about pricing.
Mm.
I can't find a single public eBay auction. And the public eBay auctions for high-end fab cards always have this flag on them saying shill bids and blah blah blah. So I'm curious to see what a heart sells for publicly,
Yeah.
just as a data point.
Yeah. So if I was going to be putting this up on the website, I'd be asking myself a few questions. At the height, it was talked about that a heart would be up at where the Black Lotus was, around about 50K. And I think we know that was talk. I don't know if anyone ever spent that amount of money.
I think they're worth that.
No. We were talking about at the height. There was a top level where an alpha box was going for $5,000 or $5,600 even. So the Heart of Fyendal was well up there in regards to price. And if you
boxes worth.
Yeah, like, and remember, you're only finding these in how many boxes?
40 boxes.
Yeah,
right,
1 in
roughly.
40. So if you look at it in that way, it's a deal. Yeah.
No, but I'm saying it seems like Flesh and Blood fabled cards are roughly worth a case to 5 boxes. If you go
Yeah.
look at Caution, the Library, the Shard, they're roughly around the 4 to 5.
Oh, well, maybe that's 4 to 5 cases, which let's talk about 12 to 15 boxes. Yeah.
Cases. Yeah.
Well, but a Heart of Fyendal is different, yeah, because the rarity of that, trying to find it, was 1 in 40 boxes, yeah? We're saying. True?
That's, I think, the fabled in general, all of them.
Yeah.
They're 1 in 40, roughly.
So if you're saying that they're 1 in 40 and a normal case of first edition would be worth how much?
20 grand for Alpha?
Oh, is it that much now, is it? Wow.
Well, roughly $5,000 a box, yeah.
$5,000 a box. That's where I was getting at. So 5 fours are 20, but that makes it 200,000. So we're not going there.
No.
Jeez.
What do you know? Like, you've probably seen some Hearts trade hands because you've opened a few. If you opened some boxes,
Yeah.
they were selling for $500. They were selling for $1,000.
I was buying all my fables for $1,000 at the time.
What's the highest you ever actually saw one sell?
Saw one sell.
100% sure it sold it.
You know what? This is where I'm not the greatest thing for the history on the sales of the cards, because as we talked before, I've had my love in the game, and so I never cared for how much things cost type thing. I never sold my stuff.
Yeah.
And I always tried to buy early, before prices went up. So I only know about the 50K because it was so close to the Black Lotus and that. And if you were talking about a Heart of Fyendal now, being how rare it is, you got a 9.5 on that. Probably not as rare as the Black Lotuses out there. I'd probably be in the range of anywhere between 20 and 30K for a card such as that.
Yeah.
If Flesh and Blood continues for the next, let's say, 10 years, I think that investment would double in that time, if it existed in that time. And that's the trick you take when you're investing, yeah? You're either a long-term investor or you're going to buy this and try and flip it. Like, many investors would be very smart to get onto your auction and be trying to pick this up for about 5 to 10K because they could flip it tomorrow for double that.
And that's part of the game I'm playing. I think there's a chance for stores like yourself to go, you know what, if I could pick that heart up for 5K, I'd buy it tomorrow. Because I'd treat it like a trade-in to my store.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't think about it.
And then you've got the investors that are the same. where they haven't bought because they found out about the game last week and there's no hearts available for sale, so the pricing's already tricky. Like there's literally zero listings. If you put a want to buy a heart of FanDuel, I'm sure you'll get people PMing you, but there's literally zero right now that are for sale.
If anyone was going to sell something, it wouldn't be under 40K, I don't think. I honestly, and that's, people think that might be a ridiculous price, but if people were looking for a Heart of FanDuel, people would be putting a price of 30 to 40K on that card. If you want it, it's available for that price. Anyone desperate to sell would obviously be lower than that, but I don't see it going under 20K.
What do you think the auction itself, like, I have the idea that it might affect the market because it's so public, where if it sells high, things will happen. If it sells low, things will happen. Do you think it has the ability to do that?
I don't think it'll affect a market per se. Like, are you taking international bids?
Yeah, for sure.
You are? Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Has this got out to the entire, like, community, collector community? And that?
I've put it on the page and stuff. The video has 600-700 views. It'll... As we get closer, the auction page got 100 new entrants from the video. I have a feeling, but from the people I've spoken to, larger people in the community, people with bigger YouTube channels, like I said, I'm trying to promote the auction more for the sake that I want the most eyes on it possible.
Yeah.
Versus the price. The price is going to be the price. There's going to be 5 to 10 people total that can afford it and that are willing to pay for it. Like, there's plenty of people that can afford it that will not buy a heart today because they bought when it was $8,000. I think there's people that will bid aren't going to get affected. I just want as many people.
Yeah. So one thing, a question that I've got for you, if it's international, does the price include the postage or?
Yeah, so it will be very explicit with the rules on the auction page. And when I say we, it's because I know the owners, but they're running it, so they have to come up with the rules. But what we discussed was the auction fee is going to be 5% on top. So if you bid and win at 10,000, you actually owe them 10,500, which is how a lot of auctions work.
Sure.
You pay the fee on top. Australian dollar increments, and you can pay via PayPal or crypto.
Yeah.
Or bank transfer.
So the real question
is free.
Yeah.
The insurance is up to the buyer.
Right. So the real question is will someone buy a Heart of FanDuel for, say, 25,000?
Well, I just bought one, right? I'm not going to say exactly what I paid, but part of the proof is in the pudding. Is I literally just bought one.
Right.
2 weeks ago.
So the reason why I say, like, just a random figure like 25,000 is because that's the flip. So if you know someone's going to spend 25,000 on a Heart of FanDuel, and you can pick this up for 20 grand, and you make 5 grand, you already, like, it's 100. What is that? 125% for an investor. And a lot of people don't understand investment. They're, Alpha Investments is quite mean about it, and he calls them Timmies and everything like that. But people have a lot of fear of the unknown.
Correct.
You don't get running a shop like I do, or, spending the money that you do without that element of understanding fear or hedging your bets in that regard.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know enough about the market right now. It's funny you should say that because my whole life is flesh and blood, but because of the type of player I am rather than investor, I would say if this was a $25,000 card that I could flip for 25,000 and I was a short-term investor type thing, I would try and pick this up for 20K because I know I can flip it for 25, make 5 grand.
Correct.
And that's a day's work.
You still make money.
That's a day's work, 5 grand. Who else can say that,
Yeah. I agree. Although the card is also a 9.5.
Yeah.
Right? So there's that element is going to come into play is when you look at the population report. This is there's 85 or so graded hearts with Beckett so far.
Yeah.
This is in the top quarter of those.
That's right.
Because there's 1 or 2 8.5s, there's a lot of 9s, and there's just as many 9.5s. There's like 40 9s, 40 9.5s.
Yep. So now it goes up to what, 30K?
Who knows? That's what I'm saying. I don't know. Because if you ask people, either people give you a low answer because they're not in it,
Yeah.
can't like they go, oh, I don't think a heart's worth more than 5K, but they're usually people that don't own one and can't afford one.
Yeah.
Then you get people that go, it's worth 80, but they're ones that have 10 of them already. They're not buying now. They just wish it was 80 because then they could sell it for 80.
Yeah.
That dynamic is what I'm curious about. Is some whale going to pop in and put a $50,000 bid to try and influence the market for his 10 hearts? Or is a player going to win because suddenly a heart at a no reserve auction didn't get a lot of traction and someone picks up a bargain? But if a heart sells publicly for 5,000, I don't think it will, but let's pretend.
Yeah.
What does that do to the rest of the hearts, all the sealed product? Because then you've got a data point that goes, hey, hearts are not worth 20, they're worth 5. Why is the alpha box worth 5 if the heart's worth 5? It creates this whole question mark.
Yeah. Look, let's just take that from that point that you said 50K. If someone comes in with 50K bid to punch all their other ones up, we're going to look at this realistically. So I'm looking at the moment on the website for Black Lotuses because that's our level. You would have to be so confident in Flesh and Blood existing over the next 10 years that you would be paying 50K for the heart to bump all your other ones up, because you still got to find the buyers for them. Yeah.
Sure.
So honestly, I don't think.
By the way, I don't think either scenario is going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to always land somewhere in the middle.
But it's important
I'm curious.
But the discussion is what's important. So we've got a Black Lotus up at the moment. Now the game's been existed for 20 odd years, and it's up at. I don't even think.
By the way, Black Lotus has had an attrition rate. Not all the printed ones exist.
Yeah.
But by the time Flesh and Blood came out, I think every printed heart is still out there. Like, I don't think anyone scraped it on concrete like they used to with original Magic cards.
No.
I mean, everyone sleeved it. Even people might have put it in a deck, but they triple sleeved the thing. No one played with it raw.
No one's coloured the borders with the black texture either.
It's not the same thing.
Look, they're up at about 50K for a graded 7 graded for 50K. So we're less than that, okay? And you've got to take into account, not only will the game survive over the next 10 years, but will it remain in LSS's hands? You would think that it would.
That's not always their choice.
No, it's not. And these are the risks that you also got to take. What if LSS sells out in 2 years? Is the market going to crash because James White isn't behind the product? So...
Oh, look, things happen at the end of the day. Life and debtors and creditors and everything else happens.
Yeah. So my view on this at a 9.5 is that the value is going to be, and unfortunately it's a ranged value, between that 25 and 30 grand is what the heart is currently worth, even at the 9.5 with those beautiful 9.5s right across the board and the 9 on the corners. Beckett, respectable company as well, who graded it. That's where I think the sale value of it sits at the moment.
Yep.
Therefore, an auction value, investors going in there will probably be wanting to get it for about 20K. I think you did ask me what would you expect this card to go for at the auction and how much do you think it'll raise? I reckon 20K. That's
real question,
that's me though.
Are you curious? Are you going to be at the Nationals?
I won't be at National. I've got so much going on. Like, that date is the 26th, is it?
No, 22nd, 23rd.
Of
January.
Yeah, so
the day before.
Yeah, I've got to look after myself as well and take some time out. So between the 21st and 25th, I'm actually disappearing. I'm actually going to be in Canberra visiting Aki Canberra out there. But I will be keeping an eye on it, especially if it's like I'll be wanting updates and that. It just happened to fall on the Nationals was at that time, Melbourne being the longest lockdown in the world in history. And it was just really hard, and I worked really hard, and it's really the only time I have off. I'm not even taking Christmas or New Year's off, so
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate. I didn't play enough games to get an invite or get into it type thing either. So
The calling, is there? Do you have anything might be happening next year with Midian, or that's all up in the air?
so last year we got the calling, and then we had the lockdown, so we were able to run the ProQuest instead.
Yes.
And it was only state based, unfortunately. So it's a new year coming in. We're still with a fair bit of uncertainty. Thing that people have to understand with LSS is I'm sure they would love to give it to Midian, and Midian would love to have it. But I haven't approached LSS, and I've done that on purpose because when LSS puts their foot forward with stuff, they pay for the venue, they put a lot of effort in. I've still got a whole bunch of judges' shirts up here. They send over product only for something to happen with the lockdown, and that money is blown away. Delivery costs and everything, advertising, hopes built up for people to not be able to go. That has an effect on the game, as well as the location that we had. Luckily, we used it for the ProQuest because one, they wouldn't have got their money back, or two, we're not going to give you your money back, but you can hold another event here at another stage, which interferes with their calendar of things. What people may not realize with LSS is that they've got their whole year planned. That's why stores can't extend past those dates. And believe me, I've tried. If Midian Gaming could not even extend the date by 1 day, and they wouldn't give it to us for the time that the relationship we have with them and the time that we've been supporting them, we were the first store in Australia to actually put their product online. I remember I got a call from Hale. I forgot his name. Something Hale. Alan Hale. Got a call saying we want these things online. Yeah, that's right. So we just threw it online straight away. We were the first store to do it. That's the relationship that we used to have. Just a phone call. Pick up the phone. Hey, Andy, blah, 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 blah. Now it's different. They've grown. They've got more people involved. They've got a front end which deals with all the stores, and you understand that. So no, I haven't contacted them in regards to that. We're going to be going with the ProQuest soon. I would like to make it out to New Zealand because I believe that discussions like that and relationships are so much more important than just picking up a phone and doing it.
For sure.
We've done that to a point because of COVID, but I really just want to get on a plane and in a car and get over to Legend Story Studios, meet the people, and then talk about this and get it straight to the face in regards to, look, no, we're going with someone else, or, let's set something up, or what's your honest opinion of what's happening with everything? Yeah.
I had a question for you. I know LSS, if you got in very early, they sort of had preferred LGSs where they let you deal direct. Do you still deal directly with LSS?
No.
No, distribution, right?
Part of their agreement with the distributor in Australia was that everything had to go through them, and you understand that because I believe that distribution channel also opened up America for them as well. So why would you want to damage that relationship? Yeah.
I was curious, yeah.
Yeah, when they first went to a distributor, to be honest, I wasn't very happy with it. I just wanted to deal with LSS. I even organised my boxes, a ton load of boxes from New Zealand to come here to Australia because I was worried about the distribution side of things. And I've got contacts over there that will do it for me, but at the end of the day, my players need boxes on time. And they don't want to be waiting an extra few weeks while everyone gets their product. So I did what's best for the players and not try and look after myself in that respect. But I love New Zealand for that fact. I just want to go over there and spend time with the guys.
I want to go meet Matt Rogers, have a look at the grading stuff.
Matt's great.
I'd love to go to LSS.
Yeah, I asked Matt Rogers. He's got so much time for people. He runs his own store.
He's amazing.
Yeah, and he plays the game and he's so good at it. But he used to be a top Magic player too, yeah?
He's too good.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
And he's created his own company for grading as well. So it's just fantastic what he's done. And it's inspirations like him that, people contact me and ask me how I got started up, and that the simple thing is I don't accept no. So in saying that, if I go to New Zealand and I ask for, like, we get to talking about like what Midian Gaming can do differently, or maybe pick up something in Victoria and that, and I get a no on that, I probably won't take that for an answer, and I'll have a laugh about it and try and get something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you still will get ProQuest and stuff, but a calling's
Yeah.
a calling, you know.
Yeah, I know. I still want to be the biggest in Australia, and I know a lot of stores will look at that and go, yeah, well, you know, you don't get as much product as us. I'll never really release exactly what product I get, and I don't see it as a competition. I'm not out there to swing my junk around and say who's the biggest in that.
I don't think anyone knows except for the distributor who's ordering the most.
That's right. And you know, it's no one's business, and if every business minded their own business, they would do fantastic. Yeah. The point is, with Midian Gaming, we do flesh and blood. We don't punch out Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon. We don't concentrate so much on those. We do flesh and blood. If you come here, you walk into the flesh and blood world, you've got posters everywhere, you've got life-size cutouts of characters here. All the tables up there have got flesh and blood on them. The walls upstairs even are plastered with all flesh and blood stuff. That's what we do, and we don't want to compete. We just want to be, yeah? That's our business, and that's what we do. And the backgrounds, like,
I know what you mean.
Even on other videos that I do, there's usually a flesh and blood hanging down no matter what product I'm doing. So
talk to me about these Monarch boxes, because we were going to speak about it. The ones you put in cases with the
these ones, yeah. So all right, look, it's got water off a duck's back. Really, it's got a lot of good feedback and negative feedback. So, and for every person that doesn't like to see it, there's one or two people that do like to see it. It's just that the loudest people are usually the ones saying the most about it, type thing. But look, I know that there's 163 of these that exist, yeah? So if I was to say that there was only 40 Heart Fiendals in the world type thing, their value would go up. So there's only 160 odd of these in the world. Some have gone to some investors that have asked for them and been sold them. LSS was very specific in regards to these being marked or the plastic taken off or sent back. So I've very much sat in that same, I've kept within those realms. I've protected the box. I've got my security seals for those boxes.
Yeah.
Future-proofing myself, and in case I stuff one up. And I'm really taking care of their the quality of their product as well. Like, I spent months getting those boxes made up and specific to Flesh and Blood with the Midian Gaming, because that's what we're known for worldwide. And yeah, I put a price on them, and they're going to stay at pretty much that price. Like, I offered the price for people that wanted to buy them early. They will be going up in 2022 as a standard product just to buy off the site, and when they're gone, they're gone. They will be at a certain price, and as time goes on, that price, while it remains the same, will become into, people will start realizing the value on them. I expect these to go crazy once Monarch is no longer printed, to be honest.
Yeah. The funny thing is, for me, I like self-promote my channel, Reddit, whatever, trying to grow it.
Oh, you've been doing a fantastic job. Like, you reached 1,000 in what time?
2 months.
2 months. Been going 2 years, and I'm only at 731.
Well, I'm at 1.3 now as well. Like,
that's fantastic.
I'll get to 2K in the next 6 months, which is a big milestone again. Here's my point, though. The amount of negativity, like, you post what I perceive is a very good, well-edited, informative video. Like, I do slight clickbait, but I never lie. Like my clickbait might be, what do you think will happen? Which is actually in the video. Like, what do you think will happen with this huge auction I'm doing? Like, find another content creator that's putting out potentially tens of thousands of dollars worth of a loss in an auction, because what I paid for the heart isn't cheap.
Yeah.
I did pay for it. But here's my point. People look at my video, don't like the content, don't like the title. They stop and comment. And I noticed that with your stuff, with the Monarch boxes, people that don't want to buy it stopped and commented. It's like, I don't understand the mentality. Like, for me, I've never had the urge to spend time on something I don't like. Like, if I don't look, I, by the way, funnily enough, don't believe I want to buy one of your Monarch boxes. But for me to stop and comment why is only trying to ruin your party. It has nothing to do with me. Like, I'll tell you privately, mate, here's what I think. Or maybe I'll even send you an offer. Go, look, sell me one for this price and I'll promote it. But I did neither of those things because at the end of the day, you're someone, whether it's trying to make money or come up with an idea or entertain or whatever the reasoning is behind your video. You talked about Rudy. There's 50 other content creators that I don't agree with 100% of the time. What I don't do is, like, I wouldn't come into your store and tell you to turn it into a magic store. It's you do you. If I don't like your flesh and blood store, I just don't come.
Yeah.
But it is funny how the negativity always creeps up. Like, people want to be negative even when no one's asking. With your stuff, I think there's some valid comments both sides.
Yeah.
Clearly, these are very rare. I think where the crux of it is whether you define it as a misprint or define it as like a incorrectly packaged. I think that's where I lie, right?
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah, because I stick, like, and I'm doing it because we're speaking publicly. It's a risk, but all of this stuff's a risk. But if it was like, there's some Arcane Rising, you've probably seen some in Unlimited where they're misprinted, like the purple is like smudged.
Yeah.
I've seen hundreds of them. I was giving them away till I realized there's one American misprint Flesh and Blood site. They're auctioning for $30 a pop. 30. No, but this is my point with your boxes. I'm not the target market for that. But there's people out there that want the oddities. They want oddities. They don't want a Flesh and Blood. Like, if they had $20,000, they wouldn't spend it on Heart of Fandals. They'd get their whole deck with crimps on it.
Look, you got to look at it from the other end. The people that comment and actually don't like that are not people that know me. They just see some guy on a YouTube channel or a shop owner that's selling them type thing. The people that know me know the lengths that I go to for Flesh and Blood. When this happened and people were opening plastics, writing on boxes or sending them back, my thinking, because of my love for the game, was this is a part of history and it's going, So, no, I'm not going to send my stuff back. In fact, I'm going to reorder all that product all over again, and I'm going to keep this for the future. I'm going to take a massive risk here and keep this because in years to come, people will be happy that they've got this in their collection. It's as simple as that. So, one, I'm a shop owner that's trying to stay open and do what shop owners do, But no one else picked this up. Why didn't anyone else pick this up? It's because they're not so much in the game. That's all I've got to come from that. Like, if Flesh and Blood was everything to you and you didn't have other products distracting you in that, you would pick up the fact that, hang on, we've seen this before. Magic has happened, like with misprints and that, and there's whole markets out there for misprints or mislabeled or mispackaged or whatever it is. Not quite right. Let's just call it not quite right,
It's an oddity.
It's an oddity, So I wasn't prepared to allow this oddity to go. I put in my risk factor in that, and it is what it is,
Look, here's what I'll say to anyone watching that had the thought that somehow you're doing something wrong by LSS. I know for a fact, if I was LSS, I would ring you. Like, hey, Andy, you're not allowed to keep them. LSS never said that. They also, let's be very clear on one thing. In Australia especially, the law says you own those boxes.
Oh, it's not about that. LSS knows what I'm doing.
To say, like, you're not doing anything wrong if you've paid for the boxes and kept them. The only thing you'd be doing wrong is if you tried to sell them at first edition prices, which you're not doing. So that's the only thing LSS was really worried about, right? Is people accidentally, not even on purpose, accidentally getting ripped off,
Yeah.
especially in the secondary market. Everything you're doing to prevent that, even the fact that you're from a well-known flesh and blood store, defeats that argument of, listen, I don't think you're doing anything wrong, is what I'm saying. But also, I don't think LSS thinks you're doing anything wrong because it's very clearly labeled an oddity, and you being very clear, like, guys, you're buying unlimited Monarch packs in a first edition box. It's a big error they made on launch, and it's a part of history. Like, that's what you're doing. It's
And
up to other people whether they value it or not. But saying something's like wrong
Yeah.
or doing something against LSS is insane. You
And
just don't know what you're talking.
I was the one that picked it out, actually. I was the one that did a live video and showed the box, and whoops, look what happened. But yeah, the distributor knew about it, and they also had a meeting with LSS specifically bringing this up. I sat by my phone waiting for that phone call to see if LSS did have a problem with it. Never got the phone call.
And it's not hard for that. Listen, to me, it's so obvious because they could ring if, let's say, they really don't like you, Andy, they'd ring the distributor and go, stop giving Midian any product.
Pretty much.
They can do that too. Legally, it doesn't matter. It's their product. There's nothing like that. They don't care. They just care that no one buys a box of Monarch First Edition when it hits 1K and opens it and has unlimited packs. That's what they don't want to happen.
So they do care. Let's. It's not that they don't care. I think they do care, but the fact that I've gone to all this trouble to make sure that their product still remains that level of quality also, I think, factors into that.
If you ever sell me a first edition box and I open it and it has unlimited packs, it's very bad for you saying, "Oh, I've got 160 of them." Well, I wonder where those came from. You know, it's not going to happen. I want to ask you. Last thing before we go, I want to talk about PvE for a second.
Right.
There's a rumor around that PvE was played in the early days in New Zealand. Do you know anything about that?
All right, so you're going to have to excuse me. PvE, player versus everyone?
Environment.
Player versus environment. All right, give me an example.
A Flesh and Blood version, here's what I've heard. And this is just me nerding out because I think of all the people I speak to, you probably play the most card games. And maybe you can relate this to other card games. From what I've heard, there was a PvE version of Flesh and Blood that was played in New Zealand, tested, I should say, that had it's like Street Fighter versus the card.
Ah, yes, yeah. That was so good.
Like a stationary boss. I don't think it was necessarily complicated. Maybe it's just like a boss with 100 health, but you got X amount of turns or X amount of time to defeat it.
Yep, I'm just going to go into my email and see. I can actually find that. Well, I was asking him for the game. Yes, it did exist. And your character had to take, I think it was 40 life off the car. So the car itself would have its own deck. So whenever you did an attack, it would flip a card over and the card would defend against your attack.
That would be important for the Flesh and Blood mechanics, actually.
That's right. So you would have, I think, 4 turns, I think it was, to do 40 damage.
Ooh.
4 or 5 turns, something like that.
Yeah.
And they would have that defense deck where they would flip over a card. Now, many of the cards were 0, but some had a defense value. And that's what was played. Tried to take Katsu against it. I thought I could do it, but...
So does this happen in Melbourne?
No, this was only in New Zealand at their... what was it? The big competition.
The Calling.
Yeah, the Calling. It was at the Calling, New Zealand. 2019, I think it was.
So I've heard this rumor, and by the way, can I post this clip on my channel? Because I really want to spoil PvE for everyone.
Yeah, what's that?
Okay. That does not excite me in the slightest, by the way. I like playing against someone, right? Till I realized that LSS could do PvE the same way I used to raid in World of Warcraft.
Right.
Me and my mates could go to our local store. We don't know what the boss is yet because it's week 1.
Right.
Flips over a boss and a deck. We don't know what's in the deck because it's the first time experiencing this boss. but then if you beat it, your armory kit is actually a hidden set of loot.
Yep.
So, like an alternate art tunic, like a purple one, for instance, came to mind for some reason. I'm like, you know how sick it would be to have PVE only, where you have like your armory event, but then there's PVE on another night where there's like loot or cards that you would use in your deck, like Katsu, for instance, but you have a different art version of the Katsu hero token
Right.
that you can only win in PVE.
Well, this was the case with this because at the calling, it was between events. So if you would finish your games, you could take your deck over
And
try and beat the car. And if you did it, I believe you got a particular card.
You understand how like amazing that would be to play. So let's put it this way. I'm not trying to talk crap about you, but it's funny because you said it. You're like not the best player in your store.
I'm far from it. I'm the one that comes second last.
Imagine, but that hasn't stopped you playing.
No, not at all.
The key, right? Imagine you get to also play PVE with the same guys that always beat you.
Yeah.
Now you put your brain together. Maybe you play the support deck because you're just terrible at playing. But either way, you end up with amazing loot because it's random.
Yeah.
And you get a gold foil Kadachi.
Yes.
How sick would that be? You don't have to win a tournament. You just have to turn up to your events.
Well, that's right. And that's why I want to see more of that. It's funny because that same event I also played in their Pit Fighter game as well, and I decided to take Ira, but then Alan Hale pointed out that my deck was illegal because I had Katsu specializations in there, and I felt so bad. I've often told people this, that it's quite embarrassing, like, because I'm just so oblivious to a lot of things and I'm just playing the game, that if you didn't know me, you would think I was a full-on cheat. Like, I've been in tournaments where I've played, say, a 2-cost attack card and then I've done a Razor Reflex on it. And then people are like, no, you can't do that. It's like a 1-cost. I'm like, oh, damn, that's right. Yeah. All right. So I take it back. And then the very next hand, I will do it again.
Yeah.
And they're like, we just told you. And I'm like, you know, right, you're right. And you know what the problem is? You're not giving me warnings. So I know it's my store.
Consequence.
Yeah, but there has to be consequences. Otherwise, I'm just taking this as a joke and I'm just loving the experience. So I want you to give me a warning. I'm the shop owner, but I want it to be known that I'm not above the rules type thing. Ever since I started getting those warnings and people have been pulling me up on that and being serious about it, my game's got a lot better. I'm more conscious of it, yeah?
Remember the controversy with that the UK calling where the guy was cheating for the comments because he was like angle shooting, where he would I think I'm not good at describing, but basically that's what he was doing. Is he was allowing, like, he was missing the trigger and asking to be able to like have a do over, like a but he wouldn't let his opponents. No, but this is what I was trying to explain to people. I go, if you play at a high level, you can't. There's fun. Play for fun in your local armory. Play for fun. Skirmish at the start of the skirmish, you'd be like, guys, if someone, doesn't matter if it's on purpose or not, if they stuff up, call them on it.
Yep.
You should not win, and then later on we look at the VOD and someone didn't pitch and paid for it. None of that. Like, you need to be strict because it's serious. Like, at the end of the day, if you miss a tunic trigger or a tunic counter in the middle of a pro game, there's no forgiveness. There should be no forgiveness. Same with you. You and me playing at your kitchen table one day is very different. Because, yeah, you can have your Katsu specialization in the Ira deck. I don't care. I played a game with someone that had Seeds of Agony in their deck. Like, whatever, we'll play. Like, it's just fun. But if this, like, people are going to be sore about losing, we should be a lot more careful.
Yep.
I'm like you. I love winning, but I don't have time. Like, I'm 34 and I work hard and I don't have time to be very, very good. Like, I won an event that's great, but I'm not someone that can count cards and remember the pitch. Like, I'm not I will never be that good,
Yeah.
but the game's fun without it. The PvE side appeals to me because it lets you be competitive without having to outthink me. It
Yep.
lets you be competitive against a robot, against a deck that's just a passive deck. And I think that's going to make the game explode if they do that correctly. The fact that you've verified it here is amazing because I've never heard it from someone who played it. So was
Yeah.
it a car or was it a boss? What did it look
So it's been referred to as the Car Bash PDF. Okay. So this was March 2020. I've got some emails here where Alan is going to send me the Car Bash PDF, but it never came. So,
Well, maybe they're not supposed to because it's maybe under works, you know?
oh, well, they didn't really know where it was going to go. Yeah,
You know
but
how excited that makes me thinking of 4 turns, 40 damage because I'm already thinking, can my Dorinthia deck do it? And yeah, I need the boss to be defending with cards. Then I can definitely do 40 damage. If you know the reprise thing, that's where PvE was. Yeah, I could do 40 damage to something in 4 turns on Dorinthia.
yeah. See, it was a different time back then. Look, I've got an email here. I'll just read it out. It's, "Hi Andy, great. Thanks for the update. Showed James the video of your new space last night, and he said we have to get some banners out to you in time for your opening. I'm hoping our ARC ones arrive soon. Otherwise, I'll get you some WTR banners out to you soon." And then they just confirmed the shipping address. Like, how awesome's that? Yeah, when I got the new place, I sent them a video of the new place, and their first thought was, let's get some banners into that place. And those banners have stayed there ever since they sent them. Yeah,
That's awesome.
just that relationship that we had, that he showed a video to James, and James, being the busy man that he was, sat down and actually watched a video. Like, just heartwarming.
I was shocked that Matt Rogers, when I messaged him on Facebook, replied quicker than my own mother replies to me. Like, he's very quick.
Yeah.
It's flattering, but it's also very good that he does that with everyone that talks to him. Like, that's a very good thing that you take the time. But I was also very surprised James White emailed me. I don't know if you caught the video, but I got a bit of a Christmas present for my channel.
Yeah.
And it had one of the first flow wrap paper flow wrap prototypes that he ever made.
Yeah. So people constantly come to me and ask, have you ever got anything off LSS like that, like the promos or anything like that? And I've said no, but like, aren't you going to ask for it? And they're like, I don't know. The simple answer is no to that. Like, yeah, I do a lot for it, but I love the relationship I have with them. That's enough. Yeah.
And look, that's the weird thing about the community in general. There's a lot of chit chat about who got spoiler cards and not. They only have so many cards in the set. They cannot feasibly give one to everyone. It's impossible.
I didn't get one last set.
And if you care about the game, it's nearly irrelevant. What you want to see is the game grow.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you don't get the spoiler card and you don't get an extra 100 subs this release, it's sort of like, if you're a fan, you're a fan. If you're doing it, if you're doing fan service to get something in return, you're not a real fan. And I'm a real fan. Like, the fact that I got that, I mean, I could justify it maybe and say why I think he would do that with my channel. I think it's because he sees a person spending so much money on the game. Unlike people like yourself that were opening alpha, the cheapest alpha box I've ever opened is $4,800. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's part of the generosity. Is I'm being very generous with the community when I buy boxes for $5,000 and open them. I think that's how LSS look at it and go, this guy joined the game in July. And he's opened more alpha boxes on camera than any individual we can find. Because that's true. I don't think you find the amount of alpha boxes or first hand. But irrelevant. That's never getting sold. And that's part of it too. It's like, you know, if you're going to gift someone a prototype like that, you don't want to gift it to someone who's going to flip it.
Yeah, that's right.
Gift it to someone who you can tell values the collection. And that thing is going to get graded and sit in a slab. And if the game's around in 10 years, maybe do a charity auction. If we can raise 10K, 100K, I don't know what it'd be worth in 10 years.
Yeah.
Sure. But the fact that, here's my point, is same as you. The fact that at some point they took time to email you and watch your video, the fact that they took time to send me a gift, it's a good company with a good heart. They're definitely not robots. They're not androids.
Yeah.
They care.
The you were talking about before where the negative comments and that at the end of the day, the hours we spend and not getting much back out of it, we're entertainers and we're champions for the game, regardless of what we're saying in that. Whether it's me complaining about route, which we haven't done route yet, but me complaining about route or selling these boxes, or you getting dissed for like opening alpha boxes or selling your boxes or this harder Fiendal or anything. At the end of the day, where we're bringing attention to the game, the fact that those people watch it and had a problem with it, you're doing your job. You can't please everyone. I tried to do that right from the beginning and then quickly learnt that, you know what, you just need to be you and just go out there and you're going to attract the people that want to see you pretty much. And then people that don't want to see you, they'll see you once, they'll comment and then they'll go away, or they'll keep coming back because they're curious. Yeah, that's the other thing.
We should end on that note. You run a store. Your channel's for your store, but mainly for players in your store that care about certain games. That's what your content is. Very obvious when you watch your content is you do product releases. You're sitting there in your store.
Yeah.
You're not pumping online sales. You're sitting there in your store going, look, I've got this. Look, this is a book holder. This is the new. What did I watch you do? The Brawl. What's it called? The dungeon crawler thing.
Oh, dungeon. Dungeon bowl. Yeah.
Dungeon bowl, right? Like I can tell it's your store. It's your baby. It's your passion. Like if I'm not from Melbourne and I don't care about the products, I just don't watch the video. It's the same with me from day one. I open products for myself. I don't sell any of it. I literally open it to collect it. It's my hobby. It's an obsession. It's bad. It's expensive, but I'm not trying to sell you anything.
But mind you, most of my videos have been flesh and blood trying to learn the game and that, because I really target the people coming into the game, not so much those already in there.
I'm more saying the content aside from that is not even you spruiking product.
Yeah.
You've never tried to sell me a product on a video. You're just saying, guys, and the whole collector box thing, I didn't even take that as you like trying to do a cash grab or something. It was like, look, I kept this. I haven't broken any rules. It's rare. And I'm going to price it at this price. If you guys want one, grab one. Because at the end of the day, Andy, if you were Rudy, Rudy would have put those all in his vault. That's 100% what I believe Rudy would have done.
Do you reckon?
Just gone, well, how much sealed product? So Rudy and I have that philosophical distance. I don't like holding sealed product. You've kept a case of alpha. Great. Why wouldn't you just keep 160 boxes and whatnot and let it go up in value over 10 years? You're literally sharing it. You don't have to, because the cost basis you bought it at, you could justify storing it. A lot of people like Rudy who don't, their net worth, assuming your net worth is less than 10 figures and assuming his is higher, he doesn't care about the 100K he might get in by selling them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he would just store it. He wouldn't even let you buy one or even look at one. He might not even tell you he had one. You're going, look, I've got them. You want to buy them, buy them. And at the end of the day, it's like I said, legally it's your product to sell. What you sell it for is up to you. That's the thing. It's still your channel, your business. You spent money on the game when it was a risk. Alpha at $110, it would have been 50 people telling you that's a terrible buy for a game that's going to die. You know what I mean? Same as everyone else was with Flesh and Blood on day one.
Yeah.
So no, you do you. At the end of the day.
Mind you, those alpha boxes went down to, I think, 105 right before the announcement. Yeah. And then I put the individual boosters up there, the last ones, for $15, and no one wanted them, so I took them home. Within the month, people were willing to buy them for $15. I was like, well, they're gone now. So, yeah, people.
I wish I was around them.
Yeah.
I'm pumped for Everfest, though. I really. Crucible was, I think, a big catalyst for the game. It's when a lot of players came in.
Yep.
I think there's a lot of heroes, Mechanologist, Ranger, Ninja. There are a lot of heroes that could use a bit of love. You know, like Ira's good in Blitz, but there's no good ninja in CC right now. No good ninja at Worlds. It'd be great if Katsu was more viable.
I would love to see a whole bunch of generic cards, honestly, that everyone can make use of.
Look, I think that's coming. Like, if they're reprinting Skullcap, that's already a very good thing.
Yeah.
There's another extra legendary this set. So it's 3 legendaries, Skullcap and 2 more.
Yeah.
And there's 45 Majestics. Go open a case of Crew. You get Majestics for every hero that existed before Crew. So what's going to happen now is you're going to get... And when we say generics, I'm just as happy with a generic ninja card and a generic warrior card that Bolton and Kasai and Dorinthia can use. I'm happy with that. But generics like E-Strike or E-Strike type cards like Command and Conquer. But again, look at, like for the, what's the one? This one's, whatever the card they spoil.
Everyone gets a card, draw a card, and neg one on the attack.
It's actually quite a strong generic card. It works.
I saw the comments. The immediate comments on that was this card is unplayable type thing. But there has to be games out there where cards in your hand are more valuable than the cards in the opponent's hand. And so, yeah.
Is it an instant? I'm trying to remember.
It was a Majestic, I know that much.
It's the Majestic, it's blue, which is a great... Like, people don't put enough stake on that. Blue Majestic is extremely strong. Because you can pitch it if you don't want to play it.
Yeah, I'm going to go...
Like, red Majestics are way more limited, so like a Enlightened Strike. There's a risk to having an Enlightened Strike in the wrong hand. If that makes sense. Look, although it's a 0 cost, you can't pitch...
It's a hard card to use, and it is a generic action. Okay, so it's blue, costs 1. Each hero draws a card until the start of your next turn, attacks that target, you have neg 1. So it's pretty good, especially with the cards. Oh, look at that. It's got a Lexi quote at the bottom. Cheers to the good times with good friends. Funnily enough, that it's got a Lexi quote at the bottom, but if you use it against Lexi, it's, you know, she's the one that needs an attack to hit in order to get a Frostbite token onto you and all this type of stuff. So,
you know what I thought? I immediately thought how good that is against Ninja.
Oh, against Ninja?
You don't have to worry about Kodachi hits the next turn. Kodachi for 1.
Well, that's attacks that you have. So it's not attack action cards. Yeah, very much so.
It's very good against this Riot deck that goes like 5 attacks a turn. It's the same thing.
Here you go, but like with Mask of Momentum. So how does Mask of Momentum work with that? If I attack you with an attack with neg 1 and it comes across as 0, does that make it not an attack within the chain? Probably does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's an interesting one. I'd have to look that up.
Is what I'm saying.
No, but it could be good because you might not block a 0 attack.
But, I understand. Well, we'll need a rule. We'll need a judge to tell us how they would rule on that.
Yeah, I'd just go to the card galleries and take a look at Mask of Momentum. Yeah. But that's the immediate thing that comes to mind.
This is my point. If that's the first card they've spoiled, aside from the Armory Kit ones.
Yeah.
Just the flavor and the logic. We're thinking about it. Is this even a good card? Blue Majestic, like this, but that's the point. That's what's fun about the game. You're going to throw it in a deck just to see how it plays. That's
right. You're going to test it. So Mask of Momentum is when an attack action card you control is 3rd or higher chain link in a row to hit, draw a card. So effectively, if it's a 0 attack, they can't hit type thing. So
I don't think so.
Yeah. It would be funny, though, if I could do Kodachi for 0 and then the 3rd attack gets the mask off.
Yeah. Well, I like it because it's less damage, but it doesn't stop you from playing. I don't like Channel Lake Frigid nearly stops you from playing. This doesn't stop you from playing. It's just everything you do is less effective.
So if I play this card, right, or you play this card and next round I come through with the Kodachi, are you going to block the Kodachi even though it's attacking for 0? What if I raise a Reflex on top of that?
But that's why the game.
Boom! You gave me an extra card. You gave me an extra card. I've got the energy for it, so.
Well, and that's the other thing. The extra card is a big deal in FAB. It's a huge deal, especially if you have one in Arsenal. Like when I use Nourishing Emptiness on Dorinthia, if you give me a hand with 6, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah. So I wonder if it can be used with Reiner at all. Like Reiner having an extra card is pretty important a lot of the time.
Because it's a blue, it's very strong. Because against the wrong character, you won't play it. You just pitch it. It's not useless because it's a blue.
And it blocks for 3. Blocks for 3. Yeah.
Yeah. But a blue is very valuable because look, I run a Heart of Fireball in my deck.
Mm-hmm.
It's valuable because it's a blue, and sometimes it comes in clutch to heal me for 1. Especially like a turn 2. I love having a Heart in my hand on turn 2 when I've taken damage.
Yeah.
Immediately heal back. It's great. But this blocks for 3 as well. It's
Yeah.
a useless card.
To be honest, playing the Heart of Fyendal early on in the game, I don't think is good because late game it's going to come into your hand and you're going to go, oh, bugger. And when you need to block, yeah.
Also, against the wrong play, it's terrible because they can kind of guess when you can't block fully.
Yeah.
That hasn't ever cost me a game though. 1 heart in my blitz deck has never cost me a game. What's cost me games are potions. Having a potion in hand as Dorinthia, because you don't get go again. Usually you want to use it, and then you've got to block for 9 and you have a potion in hand.
That's right. Yeah.
Andy, your time's much appreciated.
Yeah, no, thank you.
To catch up.
No, it's been fun. I never really...
And we'll talk anyway, I'm sure. I'm very curious about how this auction goes. I'm curious about Everfest. I'll be streaming 4 p.m. Sunday the 30th. I have 2 in my deck. Foil routes. I won a lot of games in route.
I just love it. Josh French from overseas just made...
I remember you getting this. Yeah, I remember the video.
Spent the time, did it. It was fantastic. Is the same
example of a good card because it's not good. Yes, I've got 15 of those, Andy.
Have you? 15? Far out.
15.
He that's what I bought off him, and that's what he sent me as an extra package.
Did you buy the whole kit, or you bought the art cards alone?
No, I bought this. It comes with the cards. What else does it come with?
No, I'm saying, you got the Rudy promo? Because some people sell the box without the Rudy promo. Yeah.
Oh, right. No, I got the Rudy promo. I didn't even really think about much of it. I just bought it, and then someone else came into a store and said, no, there's a card underneath type thing.
There
and
is.
He pulled it out, and it was in there. So I didn't even realise that. Yeah, because Rudy's video on that was so long, I just skipped past it. I was like, well, I'm not even looking at it. I'm just going to buy it, put it away.
You only have so much time, as you said.
Yeah.
Look, I'll let you get back to it. Thanks for having me on.
Yep.
I'm going to clip the PvE part of this video.
Yeah, nice.
I want to make a short little video on my channel about it.
Yeah, fantastic. All right.
I appreciate you.
No, same. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Have a good one. Bye-bye.